Hey there, YouTube land. I'm just going to go live here for a few minutes in the studio. I had a painting lesson earlier, and I thought I'd share some color tips that I shared with my painting student because you might be interested too. So, hey there, if you're watching live, say hi. And if you pop in for the replay, say hi in the comments. So, I was going to look at some color basics. And I guess what I really should have titled this is maybe there's more than one color wheel, or red and blue don't always make purple. Have you ever had that experience? Like, why isn't this red and blue making purple? That's what it says on this color wheel chart. Well, really, color is so subjective, and paint is so subjective. All the colors are so different. All the different paints are different. There's a lot going on. So, really, the best thing to do if you want to be in control of your color is use your paints to make an experimental color wheel and come up with your own color scheme. That's how I approach painting. When I'm thinking about a new painting, I usually have kind of an image in my mind, and my next step is to figure out a color scheme for that painting, some colors that are going to really work well together. So then I know I can just put those together in different ways and come up with my painting. And I know it's going to work. It's going to look the way I want it to because I've taken the time to kind of balance out the colors. But doing this with your paints uh, is so much better than using a color wheel is good, but it's not really realistic because you might not be able to get all those colors. Even if you have, you know, 200 bottles of paint, you might still not be able to get all those printed colors. It's just not the same thing. So the best thing is to just make a color wheel with your paints. So experimental color wheel, that's the first thing that I wanted to share with you. And then the next thing I wanted to share with you is that there's more than one color wheel because there's more than one type of color relationship. So we think of normally our primaries, red, yellow, and blue, right? Our secondaries, green, purple, orange. We all learned that in school. And then, the tertiaries, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, green, those third mixtures. That's basically it. But you can't always get, I don't know what's going on there. You can't always get a nice purple from red and blue. Sometimes you can't get a nice clear green from your yellow and blue. It might have to do with your original paint um, influencing the mixture. Some paints are true to color, and some paints are actually mixtures. So some paints are like already mixed to a color that you just paint with. They're not made for color mixing. And I use some of those paints. Like in my paint parties, I use a lot of deco art paints. And these are meant really just, you can mix some white with them and make them lighter, that kind of thing. Mix some black or some brown with them and make them darker. But they're really just meant to use like as they are. They're already mixed. And when you try to mix these kinds of paints, a lot of times you come up with just mud because there's neutrals in here already, and that plays havoc with mixing other colors. They're just meant to use the way they are. But if you really want to get into mixing paint colors and really having fun with it, try some artist grade paints. These are artist grade acrylics. I like Lucas Acryl. They're reasonably priced and really awesome to paint with. But these are predictable pigments that are made for artists to mix colors. You know what pigments are in them: alizarin crimson, primary yellow. It's always going to be the same. It's not. It doesn't have other things mixed in with it. So these are made for color mixing. Having said that, there's no rules. So have fun mixing whatever you have and making some new colors, because that's the fun of it. It's all an experiment, really. So let's experiment a little. Since I was saying that red and blue don't always make purple, let's see what I mean by that. I'm going to mix about half red and half blue here on my paper. Still looking a little bluish. Let's try a little more red. All right, that's about evenly balanced, but that is a really dark, like eggplant purple. It's the same thing that's over here earlier. So when we mix a little white with that dark eggplant purple, we can see it's kind of purplish and kind of grayish. So these are a couple of the craft paints that are already mixed to color. And then let's try a couple of different blues here. I've got a primary blue and a magenta. That makes a brighter purple. That with a little white. Let's see what happens there. Well, that brightens up to a nice clear purple. So that this mixture gives us a much clearer purple, if you can see that there. Yeah, now you can see it. But there are endless permutations of colored paint colors that you might have and how they might mix. Like if we get into a phthalo blue, this is an acrylic phthalo blue. Let's mix a little bit of that with some alizarin and see what happens. Well, that makes a really nice sort of amethysty color. I'll have that a little more blue. I think it's if we add a little white into that. Well, that makes a really nice purple. So you just have to play around with what colors you have, what paints you have, and see what colors are best. General rule of thumb, your tertiary colors, like it's a mix of a secondary color like green and a primary color like blue, like green blue or yellow green. Those add a lot of interest to your painting. So less primary, more tertiary. So take some time, play with some colors, play with your paint, see what you can create. And most of all, have fun.